Hey, what's happening? This is Guy01, the Guy01, and welcome to this week's Versus episode on the Walkthrough channel. This week, it's the Ultimate Warrior against CM Punk. It is our weekly birthday versus, and we actually only had one birthday this week, which was Ultimate Warrior's on June 16th. He would have turned 65 this year. Of course, Ultimate Warrior passed away just over 10 years ago, in 2014. So yes, it would have been his 65th birthday this past week. Now, it is not CM Punk's birthday this week, or was his birthday this past week. But the reason I'm going up against CM Punk is because he is probably the most talked about wrestler this past week. Him and one other guy who we'll actually get into later. But we got a lot of stuff to get through, so let's begin. So beginning with Clash at the Castle. Alba Fire and Isla Dawn beat Bianca Belair, Jade Cargill, Zoe Stark, and Shayna Baszler to become the new Women's Tag Team Champions. Of all of the results, and all the results of the matches for Clash at the Castle, that one is probably the least likely one to have happened. Because I remember going into this, people were basically being like, yeah, Alba Fire and Isla Dawn, they have no chance at winning. Basically just from how they were booked leading up to it, and it's like, yeah, they're not winning. I mean, they're not even being presented as a legitimate threat. And then they did it. They kind of stole it, but hey, they did it. So we got new Women's Tag Team Champions, which makes sense, as they're both from Scotland, so it made sense to, in their home country, give them that big win, especially since their fellow Scotsman, who was supposed to be the, I guess, hometown hero, he didn't fare as well, but like I said, we'll get into that later. Sami Zayn beat Chad Gable to retain the Intercontinental Championship. Bayley beat Piper Niven after a failed distraction by Chelsea Green to retain the WWE WWE Women's title. Cody Rhodes beat AJ Styles in an I Quit match to retain the WWE Undisputed title. After the match, the Bloodline came out and attacked Cody, who was then saved by Kevin Owens and Randy Orton. So it seems that Cody's next feud will be with the Bloodline, and he does indeed begin feuding with them this week on SmackDown. And the match that everyone was talking about. Not really the match, but the ending. Damian Priest defended the World Heavyweight Championship against Drew McIntyre. The ref got knocked out, and Drew went for the pin, and right when it looked like he had the match won, a new ref ran out, counted 2, and then stopped. Priest kicks out, Drew McIntyre sits up and looks at the ref, who was then revealed to be CM Punk in a referee shirt. CM Punk then fills in as the ref, low-blowing Drew, allowing Damian Priest to hit his finishing move, and CM Punk cost Drew McIntyre the World Heavyweight title again. And man, the fans hated him. I mean, the fans went nuts on CM Punk. I mean, because Drew came into this as, obviously the fan favorite. Being the representative of Scotland, basically. And man, the fans, this probably got some of the most negative reaction to WWE that it's gotten in a while, at least since Vince has left, because there was a big outcry over this, almost people being WWE is intentionally trying to upset the fans, and you know what, it works, I'm not watching WWE anymore. People really going against WWE and being basically criticizing them for this, but honestly it did exactly what they wanted it to do, get them attention, and it worked. So yeah, I'd say it worked. Maybe not fully like they wanted to, especially if this ends up going too far and fans legitimately start turning away or moving away from the product because they're so upset by it, but I don't think that'll be happening. But who knows? Another thing to mention about this match is that throughout this entire show, there were repeated botches, including the ring ropes, which was apparently caused by them getting loosened after one of the matches. I think it was the Women's Tag Team match. One of the competitors in that said, hey, the ropes were a little too tight, can you loosen them? This led to several botches, and one of them that could have gone real bad in the Damian Priest-Drew McIntyre match, where Priest did a move where he basically steps on the top rope and to do a dive over it. The rope basically gave way, and Priest got wrapped up in the ropes and almost landed head first on the ground. I mean, that could have gone so bad. There were some other ones throughout it, like Jade Cargill, when going for a springboard move, she kind of just fell into the ring. But they were all able to recover pretty well, but Priest, his was enough where they actually even mentioned his ankle might have actually been injured, like legitimately injured, as a result, which, you know, that's not good if that was caused by a mistake like that. Because, yeah, that one was scary, because he goes for the dive, he goes like head first over, and then he gets stuck. So he doesn't get the distance, he just goes down head first. So that could have gone real bad. So honestly, if the only thing that came out of it was an injured ankle, he got lucky there. Moving on to Raw. Raw began with really a shocker. Seth Rollins returned out of nowhere and immediately called out Damian Priest and challenged him for a match at Money in the Bank for the World Heavyweight Championship, which Damian Priest agreed to. But yeah, that came out of nowhere. I thought Seth would take a longer break. I mean, it's only been like, what, 2 months since WrestleMania? Going on 3. I remember people being like, because I know him and Becky were originally like scheduled to take an extended break. That was something that came out immediately after WrestleMania, especially since Seth Rollins had apparently been working injured for the past couple months. So, I mean, and we all kind of accept it's like, okay, yeah, take an extended amount of time off, you know, you've earned it. I mean, he's been one of the most consistent performers for all of 2023. Which is actually, that was something else. I think this past week also marked 1 year since the new titles were revealed, which is crazy. They've already been around that long. Okay, come on, Punk. We gotta get back in the ring. Punk. Okay, I'm gonna go back in. I'm not getting counted out. Here we go. Braun Strowman beat Chad Gable. Afterwards, Chad Gable took out his frustrations on his Alpha Academy teammates, slapping Akira Tozawa and taking Maxine Dupree's crutch away from her, and almost looking like he was going to hit her with it. This then led to Otis kind of going off on him and pushing him before walking out with Maxine and Akira. It doesn't seem like a legitimate breakup, though, because they do end up meeting together backstage and having another confrontation back there, so this doesn't seem like a true breakup just yet. And this is something I mentioned last week, and I think I've even mentioned it earlier than that, where I wish they would kind of hold off on the teases a bit more until they got to... If they're going to pull the trigger, just pull it all at once. Don't do it like a gradual thing, just give us that one big explosion where Otis just snaps and beats the crap out of Gable. Don't have him, you know, get physical with Gable multiple times, but then still go back to him and really face no repercussions from it. Or have Gable, you know, not get suspicious over the fact that, you know, his own teammates putting his hands on him over and over. It's like, just do it all at once. Don't do it over and over in small bursts. That's just me, though. Oh no. I looked away for a second. Ow. Io Sky beat Kiana James and Zelina Vega to qualify for the Women's Money in the Bank after Liv Morgan came out and distracted Zelina Vega. Interesting that they made the point of having her distract Zelina specifically. This could... I wonder if this is going to lead to a title match between the two of them at Money in the Bank, which I think we would all be more than down for. It'd be nice to see Zelina get an opportunity like that, who hasn't really had an opportunity like that since she wrestled Rhea Ripley at Backlash in Puerto Rico. It'd be nice to see her, you know. And honestly, if this ends up turning into like a three-way feud, where it's Liv Morgan, Rhea Ripley, and Zelina Vega, because all three of them have history with each other, involving the title. So it would be kind of cool if Zelina Vega kind of came in and became a part of this. Dragon Lee faced Carlito. The LWO and Judgment Day all came down, which led to a brawl, including Liv Morgan coming out, distracting Dominic Mysterio with the fact that she's wearing his clothes, which, okay. The distraction is enough for Carlito to end up beating Dragon Lee. Oh no. Oh, this is good. No. No! Oh, not even close. That's probably the first significant strike he landed this whole match. Ah, dang it. This then led to a segment where Drew McIntyre came out and basically just quit. He came out on a microphone, said he's done with all the crap that's been going on, and he walked out. Which no one bought for a second, especially since SmackDown this week was taking place in Chicago. You knew he was going to be involved somehow. So yeah, even the night of, people were like, yeah, I'm not buying this. They tried to play it up well with, you know, Priest being like confronted by Triple H and Adam Pearce, being like, hey, don't leave, come on, we can work something out. Yeah, no one bought it. Cool. Chance and Carter beat Dakota Kai and Kairi Sane in a tag team match. Sheamus faced Braun Breaker. During the match, Ludwig Kaiser grabbed Sheamus, causing a DQ. Braun Breaker then took out both Sheamus and Kaiser. I'm not entirely sure what the result of this match was, because if I'm not mistaken, this was a Money in the Bank qualifier match, and I don't think they ever actually announced a winner. I think it was just a no contest thing. I don't remember. I assume Braun won, but I don't think he actually got added to the Money in the Bank match. I might be mistaken though. Braun Breaker, because the main reason is because then Braun Breaker would then have a stare down with Sami Zayn. So I think this, yeah, it wasn't a Money in the Bank qualifier match. I think it was a number one contender thing for the Intercontinental Championship. I think that's what it was, and so I think Braun Breaker is now the number one contender for the Intercontinental Championship, maybe. I think. And in the final match of the night, Jey Uso beat Finn Balor and Rey Mysterio to qualify for Money in the Bank. But all that was nothing compared to the final segment of the night, which saw the debut of the Wyatt Six. Now, for the past few months, there have been several teases of a new faction debuting in WWE. It's not something that I've talked about in these videos. I've mentioned this before, but I usually really just try to cover matches and like really significant backstage segments. So there wasn't really a lot for me to cover with this. But for those of you who don't know, for the past few months there have been several teases, including glitches in the video feed during shows, random QR codes popping up both on the screen and being planted in the crowd that then led to cryptic messages, weird stuff happening on social media. There's a lot of like teases of something going on, and it all culminated tonight with the debut of the Wyatt Six. We basically saw, the way it was done, we saw a backstage shot where basically they just showed the backstage area, and it looked like something out of a horror movie. Just bloodied bodies laying around the hallways, most notably Chad Gable, who everyone's like memeing on, basically being like, is he dead? Because it looks like he's dead. just blood everywhere, so many bodies just laying around. It's like, oh my god. And then they all came out. The people in this group are Bo Dallas, Bray Wyatt's brother, Nikki Cross, Dexter Lumis, Eric Rowan, and Joe Gacy, basically playing humanoid live-action versions of the Firefly Funhouse characters. So Rambling Rabbit, Uncle Howdy, what was the pig's name? I forget. But basically it was that whole thing. Now, as I mentioned before, the name that this group has been given already is the Wyatt Six, and there's only 5 members. So now there's already the interest of, okay, who's going to be member number 6? Which, right, as of now, we don't have an answer to, but the main rumor is it's going to be Alexa Bliss, which makes sense as she and Wyatt were a duo before Wyatt passed away, before she took her time off due to pregnancy. So it makes sense for Alexa Bliss to be involved in this story somehow, as she's one of the only other people who's actually had a direct storyline connection with Wyatt, as in terms of being a part of his group. So it was a really cool segment, and this was probably the moment that everyone was talking about from this show, despite, you know, several big things happening, you know, including... Oh, crap. Okay, I might need my resiliency for this, actually. Okay, maybe not. Ow. Hey, get back here. You know, Seth Rollins' return, several Money in the Bank qualifying matches, Drew McIntyre quitting. Yeah, the Wyatt Six debut was definitely what everyone was talking about. Now, before we get into SmackDown, I want to mention NXT, which I've mentioned a couple times recently, which, again, this is something I normally don't do. But, man, they are going full-blown NXT TNA crossover. This past week on NXT, they had a Battle Royal to determine a new number one contender, and half the people involved in this Battle Royal were TNA wrestlers. Most notably Joe Hendry and Frankie Kazarian. Now, I said most notably Joe Hendry because he probably got the biggest reaction out of anyone else in this match. And probably anyone of that show. I mean, he is just so freaking over. I mean, he's not even in WWE, and he's getting bigger reactions than a lot of the NXT people. Just because everyone kind of knows him. They know his shtick. So he got this huge reaction when he came out. He even got the chance to cut a promo before the match began. And then he was one of the first people eliminated. Which, if you thought people were mad about Drew McIntyre getting screwed again, people were probably even more upset with how, basically, in their minds, Joe Hendry got wasted in his NXT appearance. It's like, this is not one and done. Not by a long shot. He's obviously going to come back, and this is going to be a reoccurring thing. But yeah, people were like really mad at WWE and like Shawn Michaels. It's like, you fumbled the ball. It's like, what are you doing? You have no clue what you're doing. Like, people were really upset with like Joe Hendry getting eliminated first. Like, I don't think anyone would have been upset if he won. But I'm pretty sure most people expected him to last longer, especially with the reaction he got. Now, granted, WWE may not have predicted he would have gotten that reaction, or at least that level. But yeah, it was kind of an odd choice to have him eliminated so quickly. Now, even though Joe Hendry probably got the most attention out of anyone involved in this, can I just say it's so nice to see Frankie Kazarian, who's been, you know, doing this for over 20 years and being so consistent, gaining a WWE appearance. I mean, I feel like this is long overdue, and it just feels, because I've been watching like some older TNA stuff with like him and AJ Styles back in like 2004 or 5. And it just feels really nice that after all these years, he's finally gotten a shot to appear on WWE TV, because if I'm not mistaken, he has never appeared on WWE TV before, on any show. So it was nice to see him, you know, finally get that attention and be in WWE. It was nice. It felt nice to see that. But yeah, so they're really going into this TNA NXT crossover, and honestly, it's pretty cool that they're doing that, and, you know, it ironically opens up the door and the possibility that AJ Styles could wrestle another match in TNA. Now, will it be what happens? Will it be happening in the near future? I don't know, because AJ Styles is already set to wrestle in Japan. Because that was another thing that's been going on recently. I was thinking it was AJ Styles and I thought it was Asuka, but might have been Io Sky, who recently were confirmed to be wrestling matches for a Japanese promotion, which, you know, that's cool. And it's nice to see, you know, WWE again cross-promoting and working with different companies and, you know, opening that forbidden door, as they say. And just kind of doing it pretty regularly, and not even, because I don't think really WWE acknowledged AJ Styles wrestling in Japan, really. But, you know, it's cool to see them, current WWE employees and wrestlers, working for other promotions and appearing in other promotions. It's kind of cool to see that. And honestly, even funnier still, it could also mean that Dolph Ziggler wrestles in WWE as Nick Nemeth. You know, he's currently employed by TNA, but he could wrestle on a WWE show if these recent TNA NXT crossover has shown us anything. So that'd be a weird thing to happen, but it's totally possible now. Anyway, moving on to SmackDown. SmackDown began with CM Punk coming out to a giant ovation. Of course, it's in Chicago. But then Paul Heyman came out to almost as big of a reaction. The two of them got in the ring, shared the ring together, had this nice reunion, and Paul Heyman basically said, "Hey, I'm here to warn you. I'm not here to make a threat or anything. The Bloodline are going to come out and try to take you out. Please leave now for your own safety." CM Punk did not. The Bloodline came out and basically told Punk, "You heard the man, get out or we'll beat you down." And Paul Heyman even said, "Hey, we're leaving and I'll go with them." Basically trying to convince CM Punk to, you know, not engage with them and, you know, protect himself, and almost siding with CM Punk, which was an interesting development. This then ended with Cody Rhodes coming out with 2 baseball bats, and him and Punk held off the Bloodline in order to close out the segment. So it's going to be interesting to see where they go with this. Will, like, Paul Heyman end up, like, reuniting with CM Punk and maybe teaming up and aligning with him to fight this new version of the Bloodline? I don't know, it'll be interesting to see. Chelsea Green beat Mia Yim and Bianca Belair to qualify for the Women's Money in the Bank. She was honestly probably the least likely person to win that match out of those 3. I mean, it seems like Bianca Belair was basically a foregone conclusion there, but okay. The next segment of the night was Drew McIntyre carrying around a unconscious and beat up CM Punk before dragging him out onto the stage, bloodied, to a giant boo from the Chicago crowd. Remember how I said earlier how no one bought that Drew was leaving, especially since, you know, SmackDown was taking place in Chicago? Yeah, this is why. We basically knew this was happening. Now, most people probably didn't expect him to, you know, bloody CM Punk. And man, WWE is really taking advantage of the fact that they're able to get away with blood again. I mean, I feel like every single show has at least one segment where someone either gets busted open or someone is just showed bloodied. I mean, just look at Raw, for example. They would have never gone away with that a few years ago. I honestly hope they don't push it too far where the point it loses its impact, which it could very easily do. It kind of got that way in the Attitude Era and Ruthless Aggression Era, where so many matches had blood in them, where it got to the point where if someone got busted open, unless it was like really bad, it almost get acknowledged. Carmelo Hayes beat Randy Orton and Tama Tonga to qualify for the Money in the Bank. That seemed like the expected conclusion for that. Andrade Cien Almas beat Grayson Waller and Kevin Owens to qualify. And in the main event, Cody Rhodes faced Solo Sikoa. Didn't take long though for Tama and Loa to come out and attack Cody and cause a DQ. Randy Orton and Kevin Owens came out in order to make the save, but then they were taken out by the debuting Jacob Fatu, who laid out all of them and allowed the Bloodline to close out the show standing tall. So now we've got 5 people in the new Bloodline. It's Solo, Tama, Loa, and Jacob Fatu. And I feel like there was someone else recently, but yeah, it's really growing now. And like I said, I kind of like this new presentation of the Bloodline, where it's almost like a mob family. I do kind of like that, and the fact that they are all blood related, you know, does help it, and, you know, helps with that whole Bloodline thing, which, you know, is not, doesn't sound good for Paul Heyman, because, yeah, he ain't got no Samoan blood in him. But I do kind of like this presentation. Only problem is, I feel like they're missing that one big name to legitimize them, and I don't think Solo Sikoa is that guy. Right now, the most like legitimate guy in that group is Paul Heyman, ironically. He's like the biggest star in that group, which is not good for a group that, you know, is seemingly getting ready to kick him out. Because I don't see Paul Heyman staying in the Bloodline for much longer. But anyway, that does it for me. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe. I'm making videos all the time. Stay tuned for next week for next week's episode of our weekly verses. And next week we're going to continue our LEGO Batman 3 Beyond Gotham walkthrough. Let me know in the comments below what you guys thought of Clash at the Castle, Raw, and SmackDown this week. What are your thoughts on the NXT TNA crossover? Do you see this potentially bleeding into the main rosters, like Raw and SmackDown wrestlers appearing on TNA, or vice versa? Let me know in the comments below. Hope you guys enjoyed. Guy01 and the Ultimate Warrior signing out. Bye, guys.